I'm Evelyn Culp, interviewing her.
Welcome to Evie's History Bites, hosted by Martha Owen, the Heritage Collection Manager of the ELC Heritage Collection. Welcome to another episode of Evie's History Bites. I'm Martha, your host, and I have another great episode for you this month. Hailey Yoder from Main Street Roasters and Neighbors Mercantile sat down with me, and we talked about both Main Street and Neighbors and what they're doing for our community. But before we get to her, let's have a little history lesson. The Depression and COVID are two historical events that altered our history. Two businesses that occupied the same spot experienced similar trials 90 years apart. They made decisions to help their communities rather than hinder them and themselves. The original building that sat on the corner of Main and Market Street on the northwest or the northeast corner was originally moved here to Nappanee from Locke. It was eventually razed and replaced with a building that you see today. But before it was Main Street Coffee House, it was another restaurant that claimed to have national fame. It was the B&B restaurant. On October 12, 1926, the B&B opened. It was started by Bernard Bunk Widmoyer and Russell Buss Hostetter, hence the name B&B. Their partnership only lasted 1 year because they found out that the business could not support both of their families. They flipped a coin to see who would win and keep the restaurant. Bunk won the coin toss, and the B&B really looked out for the citizens of Nappanee during the Depression. They were able to offer 1-cent sandwiches with free buns that Huffman Bakery provided, as well as offering a bowl of soup and a piece of pie for a nickel each. The B&B was famous for its homemade pies and only had 3 bakers in its history. After a long history and many famous visitors that included Roy Rogers, Dale Evan, Gene Autry, Pat Boone, and Olympian Jesse Owens, the B&B closed its doors in 1993. The B&B coffee counter was the heartbeat of the community for 75 years. While that coffee counter cannot be replaced, an idea and a dream were brought to the building that some can say the coffee counter of the B&B never left the building. In 2003, Marcus and Deborah Miller opened Main Street Coffee House in the building, in the old B&B building. They wanted to create a place where community and friendships could grow, and it has been a Nappanee staple since. Main Street is a place that residents can go to and fellowship together. The business has expanded multiple times, yet it has managed to maintain that same cozy feeling. In 2020, Main Street had to pivot and start thinking outside the box on how to still provide for its customers. They implemented online ordering as well as order pickup in a convenient place for their customers, while still providing their same customer service. They were able to serve Nappanee during another time in need. In 2017, Main Street Roasters relocated their roastery from the coffee house and moved it down the road to accommodate its growth. In doing so, it also helped them to rebrand and grow their brand as a roastery and a coffee house, increasing the square footage for both entities. So, across the street is another building where Mary Bechtel faced the unimaginable when her husband Samuel tragically passed away. But instead of selling off the property or having a family member take it over, Mary picked up where her husband left off and finished his dream. In 1887, Samuel Bechtel started to clear the way for a building to be built on today's Neighbor Mercantile property. It was said that Mary showed an unusual amount of womanly ability in a business way, and one in whom the business interests of Nappanee find a helper. She also built a frame building beside her building that served as a meat market, which was later purchased by her and moved out of the way to make way for the Coppice Hotel. Even though Mrs. Bechtel moved back to Goshen after her husband passed, she still kept the building and maintained others in the community of Nappanee as well. She was continuously in Nappanee doing business for one thing or another, and it's truly inspiring that a woman during that time period owned a building and provided all the upgrades it needed for over 28 years. The Shively brothers purchased the building from her in 1916. The Shively brothers remodeled the building and took it from two businesses to one. Shively's Hardware was in business for over 50 years, as well as the next business that was called Martin's Hardware. Martin's Hardware closed in 2013, and in 2019, the building was purchased by Marcus and Deborah Miller, and it went through under construction for 3 years. It opened in 2022 as Neighbors Mercantile. Not only does the building look like the original that Mrs. Bechtel finished in honor of her husband, but the coolest feature in the building is the Newmar travel trailer that is on the second floor in honor of Marcus's father, Malin Miller. Hailey Yoder sat down with me and we talked everything about coffee and gifts. Thank you, Hailey, so much for sitting down with me. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Hailey. I work at Main Street Roasters in downtown Nappanee. My parents are Marcus and Deborah Miller, and they started the coffee shop in 2003, and the following year I was born. So I was born and raised here in Nappanee, but it feels more accurate to say specifically. It feels like in Main Street, so...
All right. So I noticed something when we were emailing back and forth. What is the Heritage Hospitality Group?
Yeah. So it's kind of a parent company. It's been in the making for a while. My parents knew that they wanted to create, kind of a holding company that would successfully bring their different projects and businesses together under one kind of umbrella, I guess. And it allows for future growth and for us to add more endeavors under that. So we use it for a lot of, for example, I technically work for both Main Street and Neighbors. Mm-hmm. So for employees like me, we are under Heritage's, we work for Heritage, I guess. So.
Okay. All right. So it started with Main Street Coffee House and Roastery. So can you just give us the history and idea behind the coffee house and the roastery?
Yeah. When my parents first got married, they knew that they wanted to build something together, to do something together. And at that time, in early 2000s, Friends is a big thing. Coffee shops are kind of starting to become more of a meeting place. And it's something that they both dreamed about in their early relationship. And then a year after they were married, they decided to turn that dream into reality. Originally, Main Street was only one building. That building had previously been a B&B, the B&B restaurant, diner.
Yeah.
And then, they just knew that they wanted to do something together, and they thought that coffee sounded like fun. So.
Yeah, and that's really cool that they were in the coffee house is in the B&B restaurant, especially with the lunch counter and people always meeting there for coffee, and things like that. And I think that it's really, really cool that Nappanee has a roastery. Where are some of the places that the coffee is distributed and or sold to?
Yeah, we ship to well over 100 retailers, so businesses that resell our coffee on their shelves. Some of those also just use our coffee to brew in their shops, and some wholesale businesses that we ship to just use it for brewing coffee for their staff day to day as well. So it's not all for resale. We have our own wholesale platform that we use, as well as other wholesale partners like Fair. We ship nationwide, and we love the idea of sharing our love for coffee with as many people as possible.
Nice. So where did the idea of having a roastery come from? Because it's so interesting that Nappanee would have a roastery.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So a couple years after they started Main Street, my dad just kind of started getting into roasting at home. Like I think he started out over, gas stove, like just practicing like that. And then he started getting more into it, and then they ended up, I think, purchasing a used roaster, and they decided to make the change to roasting all in-house just to help with maintaining quality. And yeah, I think they liked the independence that it gave them as well.
Yeah, I think that it was so weird when the roastery was in the coffee house. You could actually smell the roastery in the library.
Oh, really? Could you?
Yes, you could. So
Can you smell it still?
I think only when you're outside. Okay. But it is so cool that you can you smell the coffee beans roasting and things like that.
If we ever have a batch that gets a little bit burnt, you can definitely smell it too from outside on the street. It's kind of strong sometimes. But.
And I watched a YouTube video as well recently that you guys' beans are once they're roasted, they're shipped.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So our process is called small batch roasting. So basically we just roast pretty much to fulfill the orders we have at the time. So our coffee, we pretty much roast and ship out, and it just helps ensure that the customers are getting the freshest roasted beans possible, and that they're not getting beans that were roasted 3 months ago shipped to their door when they order.
Nice. So a couple of years ago, Main Street had a rebrand. You guys kind of rebranded, and you focused on community. So can you just explain that brand a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason. It goes back to the beginning. My mom and dad, they wanted to create a place here in town that was a center for people to get together and hang out of all ages, whether it's, college and high school kids doing homework, or, retired individuals just wanting to find a place for morning coffee or lunches with friends. They wanted to create something that would foster community. And with that, over the years, we were able to obtain the second building, or we were able to obtain a building where the roastery is now. It used to be the gym or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that allowed us to move roasting out of the building where we now have more seating. And so now there was a huge change going on physically, and they were like, oh, this would be a great time to kind of, make what has always been our values, bring that to the forefront a little bit more. And so, yeah, I think they just kind of wanted to get rid of the 90s script font and update things a little bit, but still have the message we're still who we've always been, just,
Yeah. And I think it's interesting too that you guys had locations in South Bend.
Oh yeah.
You had one in Elkhart, as well as having the drive-through at Coppice Commons when it first opened.
Yeah.
So, I think that's pretty cool that you guys expanded. But did I read somewhere that you guys didn't want to be spread so thin, so you kind of just closed those locations to focus on one?
Yeah, I think they kind of noticed that with more locations, it's, first of all, quality was hard to ensure with our baked goods and stuff. They were driving it up to South Bend every morning.
Oh wow.
So my dad would take his truck and drive baked goods from Nappanee up to South Bend before they opened at 6:30 every morning.
Oh
so
wow.
We had baked goods up there. It just made it to where they couldn't put their all into our Nappanee location, and after a while it was well, we're doing two jobs half as good as we could, I guess. So they wanted to focus more on just...
And I will say, I loved you guys. I love your baked goods.
Oh, thank you.
I think they're the best out there that you can it's bakery quality.
Oh, wow.
And
Thank
I
you.
love that. So, I also love how you guys have really come along with food allergies and things like that, are starting to offer the gluten-free and the dairy-free baked goods as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's switch gears a little bit from Main Street and let's talk about Neighbors Mercantile. So, that was a massive renovation.
Yeah.
It's one of
it's one of my most favorite buildings that we provided the historical photos for and things like that. And it looks so much like the original.
Yeah.
That it's just gorgeous. So when and what inspired the idea for the Mercantile?
Yeah, I think I can't remember exactly when the hardware closed. But I know that whenever that was, the owner of Martin's Hardware, Denny Martin, actually contacted my dad and like asked him if he'd be interested in buying it. And at the time, there wasn't really room for that. But you know, over the years, it's right across the street from the roastery.
Yeah.
So I think over the years, you're there every day, you're walking out every day seeing it, and it's such a gorgeous building, and it was just sitting there. And so then over time, they decided that, you know, we want to do something with this, restore this beautiful piece of history. As far as why a Mercantile specifically, I think they wanted a general store that would appeal to all demographics, not just women's, not just men's.
Yeah.
But something that could bring families in, and kind of that old-timey feel of, like, you know, buying some candy out of a jar, and, you know, if you need dry goods, they're there, but then you also have some specialty items. So I think they just wanted to kind of carry on with what they did with Main Street and create something that would just foster community, old-time values kind of, and like something that the whole family could enjoy.
Yeah, I know when visitors come in here to ask what's to do in Nappanee, like Neighbors Mercantile is one of the first things that we tell them that they
really?
need to go to.
Aw, that's awesome. Thank you.
Because, and we've had bus tours that we've sent down there that are looking for time fillers and things like that, just because not only is it gorgeous on the outside, it's also gorgeous on the inside.
Oh, thank you.
And I love how Neighbors Mercantile also has their own line of coffee.
Oh yeah.
but you if you know the story, you know that it's Main Street.
Yeah.
So one of the coolest things I think that's in the building is the Newmar trailer that's on the second floor. So can you tell us a little bit of the story behind that?
Yeah, I think my parents loved the idea of kind of having a statement piece in the store somewhere, kind of like a little attraction, something that would just catch customers' eyes. And so my grandfather had actually been the owner of Newmar for many years, and so, you know, my father kind of grew up, well, not really grew up, but had spent time with his father owning that business and being a part of life. And I think they just wanted to incorporate a piece of that family history. It's also such a huge piece of Nappanee's history that, you know, so many people, you know, they either worked there or, you know, have just memories with it, I guess.
Yeah.
And so, they found an old, I forget if it's like, I think it's like 72.
Okay.
Is the year of the camper. So they actually had to disassemble it outside, and then we kind of have our upstairs patio area, and they had to bring a crane in and bring in the pieces through that garage window we kind of have out on the patio, and then reassemble it all in the store. So, yeah, it was a process for sure.
And it's, if Neighbors ever moves or anything like that, it's not moving, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think it's there forever. I don't know what other people would have to do with it.
And I will say, I think, you know, like you said, Newmar is such a huge part of this community. I know for the Heritage Collection, Newmar helped purchase our building.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So for it to be such community focused, and for your parents to also be community focused, is just so is such like a, does the heart good in knowing that there are people out there that love this community and want it to grow and foster. So I have one last question for you. But before we get to that, is there anything that we didn't cover that you would want to talk about?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would just say that I think you guys do such a good job of trying to, just highlight how rich our town's history is and how, sometimes small Midwestern towns kind of get a rap of being boring, but there's something kind of special about just a simple life and local history, and I think you guys do a great job highlighting that.
And thank you.
With other, just encouraging the businesses in town to, be together and everything to make Nappanee better. I just think that's really cool. So we're grateful that you guys play that part.
Well, thank you. And I will say, like I said, one of my favorite things was helping provide the historical pictures for the neighbors building, or the Bechtel building as we call it here. We always call the buildings by their original names here.
Okay, I didn't realize that was the original name.
Yeah, so the original name is the Bechtel building, and one of my favorite stories about the Bechtel building is the gentleman who was building it, Samuel Bechtel. He actually passed away while they were just putting in the foundation. And his wife, Mary, actually picked up where he left off, built the building, found all the people to be in it, and she was always, even though she moved to Goshen after he passed away, she was always here in Nappanee doing business.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I think, and that is really, really cool, especially since this was the 1880s, 1890s when this building was built. And so for her to really be a businesswoman in that time, it is kind of unheard of. So with your parents doing it together, and you coming up as well with it's really cool that women are more in business today than they were back then. But Mary's story is one of my favorites.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, what does the future look like for Main Street Coffee and Neighbors Mercantile?
Yeah. For Main Street, we do have some pretty exciting changes coming, hopefully in the next year. So yeah, that's just something to keep an eye on, or keep an eye out for. But I kind of believe overall that we want our future to look a lot like our past, like what has been. We want to, build community, bring back that small town homegrown feel that I think it seems to get lost so much easier these days. It's easier to be more isolated even in a small town like Nappanee. And I think we just kind of want to, stay a close knit community with fellow businesses in town. And yeah, another thing I want to point out is that we would not be here without God. I mean, He has blessed us so much and just made it possible for, this to grow. It wouldn't be anything without Him, and without the amazing people of our town and, surrounding areas who have supported us for all these years. We are nothing without our people and our customers and our staff, and you guys, the chamber and the city and community leaders, it takes a village. So
yes, it most definitely takes a village. And I think too, what I love most about Main Street is once you start going in there a lot, your staff learns people's names. And they're always knowing who's coming in, what people like, things like that. I think that too, really, even though Nappanee is technically a city, Main Street gives you that small town feel of going in and being oh, they actually know who I am. Yeah. Well, thank you, Hailey, so much for sitting down with me. I truly appreciate it. I truly appreciate everything that your family has done for Nappanee and what you guys are keeping on doing.
Oh, thank you. I love being a part of it, and, just living life day to day, being able to be a part of something like this. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Yep.
Well, that's all that I have for this episode. A special thank you to Hailey for joining me on the podcast. Next month, my husband Eli is back and we'll be talking about UFOs in Nappanee. But before you go, be sure to subscribe to this podcast, hit like, or leave us a comment.